The station was crowded with commuters when a K-9 dog froze beside an old, battered suitcase. His low growl turned into frantic barking that sent officers running. But when they opened the case, no one was ready for what lay inside. A secret, so heartbreaking it silenced the entire platform. The morning rush was already in full swing when Officer Daniels adjusted her uniform cap and stepped onto the platform. Commuters streamed around her in a blur of coats and rolling luggage, the air thick with the scent of coffee and diesel. At her side, Thor padded along with measured steps, his ears pricked for any sign of trouble. Thor had been her partner for 5 years, a massive German shepherd with a keen nose and a calm, unshakable presence. People often remarked that nothing ever seemed to rattle him, not even the loudest trains or the biggest crowds. He had detected narcotics hidden in false-bottomed suitcases, sniffed out explosives taped behind walls, and once even found a lost toddler hiding behind a vending machine. As they passed the ticket counters, Daniels gave Thor a quick scratch behind the ear. "Another day, huh, buddy?" she murmured. He flicked his tail once in answer, already focused on the task ahead. They moved in a slow, practiced circuit, past the main waiting area, along the yellow safety line, and through the quieter side corridor where forgotten bags sometimes turned up. Everything felt routine, almost predictable, and Daniels found herself relaxing just a little. But as they rounded the corner toward Platform 6, Thor suddenly slowed. His head turned, nose working the air. Daniels followed his gaze, frowning as she spotted an old black suitcase sitting alone beside a bench. In that instant, she knew this wouldn't be just another morning patrol. Officer Daniels felt her pulse quicken as she studied the suitcase. It was battered and scuffed, the leather peeling along the edges, like it had been forgotten for years instead of hours. A yellow luggage tag flapped in the breeze, too faded to read. Thor's body had gone tense, every muscle locked in concentration. His nostrils flared as he sniffed the air, then lowered his head to the ground to pick up the scent. Daniels had seen him react to suspicious packages before, but never quite like this. She lifted her radio to her mouth. "Dispatch, this is Officer Daniels. We have an unattended suitcase on Platform 6. Requesting backup and a possible bomb squad." "Copy that," crackled the reply. "Units en route." A middle-aged man carrying a briefcase paused a few yards away. "Is it dangerous?" he asked nervously. "Sir, please move back," Daniels instructed, her voice steady. She gestured for nearby commuters to clear the area, her free hand resting on Thor's harness in case he lunged. Thor began to circle the suitcase, his ears pinned flat. A deep growl rumbled in his throat, low enough that only Daniels could hear it. The sound made goosebumps rise along her arms. She took a careful step back, giving him room. Whatever was inside, Thor didn't trust it. Neither did she. The platform, once bustling with noise, fell into an uneasy hush as people realized something serious was unfolding. Thor's growl grew louder, rising into a sharp bark that echoed across the platform. Daniels had only heard that bark twice in 5 years, and both times, it had meant something serious. He lunged forward, planting his paws on either side of the suitcase, his nose inches from the latches. The hackles along his spine bristled, and his teeth bared in a warning snarl. Daniels swallowed hard, adrenaline burning through her veins. She pressed the radio to her lips again. "Dispatch, be advised, K-9 is showing heightened aggression. Repeat, heightened aggression. Clear the platform immediately." The voice crackled back, tense. "Understood. Evacuating surrounding platforms." 2 other officers jogged over, eyes wide as they took in the scene. One of them, Officer Ramirez, had worked with Thor before. He glanced at Daniels, voice hushed. "He's never acted like this, has he?" "Never," Daniels said, her gaze locked on her partner. "He's never been wrong, either." Passengers stood behind the yellow caution tape now, watching with wide-eyed silence. A mother hugged her son against her chest, shielding his face. The train idled in the distance, its doors shut tight. Thor began to paw at the suitcase, letting out short, frustrated barks between ragged breaths. His whole body trembled with urgency. Daniels felt a cold certainty settle in her gut. Whatever lay inside that battered case, it was more than a threat. It was something that reached past Thor's training and into some deeper instinct she couldn't yet understand. The bomb squad arrived minutes later, their protective suits rustling as they moved into position. One technician carried a portable scanner, while another steadied a remote-controlled robot at the platform's edge. Daniel stepped back, tightening her grip on Thor's harness. He strained forward anyway, refusing to be pulled away. His nose hovered inches above the suitcase as if he couldn't bear to lose the scent. "Negative for explosives," the lead technician called out, frowning at the scanner's display. "No chemical traces either." Thor let out a frustrated yelp, pawing harder at the latches. A ripple of confusion moved through the gathered officers. If there was no bomb, what was it that had the dog so desperate? "Let's open it manually," Daniel said, her voice low. "But carefully." The technician nodded and knelt beside the case. The crowd held its breath as he unlatched the first clasp. The click seemed impossibly loud in the silence. The second latch opened with a reluctant snap. The technician exchanged a wary glance with Daniels before lifting the lid. The hinges creaked. For one suspended heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the faintest movement stirred inside the shadows of the suitcase. Daniels leaned closer. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she made out a shape, small, shivering, wrapped in a ragged scrap of cloth. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't drugs. It was a tiny puppy, blinking up at them with wide, terrified eyes. For a moment, no one spoke. The puppy let out a thin, quivering whine and tried to bury deeper into the blanket. His fur was patchy, and every rib showed beneath his fragile skin. Daniels crouched beside the suitcase, her heart twisting. She reached in with both hands and lifted the trembling bundle into her arms. The puppy's head lolled against her shoulder, too weak to struggle. Thor's entire demeanor changed. His hackles smoothed flat, and he stepped forward with cautious curiosity. With a soft whimper, he stretched out his nose to sniff the pup, then gave the tiniest lick to its ear. The technician spotted a folded scrap of paper tucked along the suitcase wall. He pulled it free and handed it to Daniels. Her eyes scanned the shaky handwriting. "I'm sorry. He was the only thing I had left. I can't care for him anymore. Please don't hate me. Please give him a chance." Daniels swallowed past the tightness in her throat. She looked up to find the other officers watching with wide, wet eyes. Even the crowd behind the caution tape had gone utterly silent. Thor sat back on his haunches and let out a long, mournful sigh. He seemed to understand exactly what this was. Not a crime scene, but an unspoken plea for mercy. Daniel stroked the puppy's ears and whispered, "You've got a chance now, little one. You're safe." Daniel stood, cradling the puppy against her chest. He was lighter than she expected, barely more than a bundle of bones and hope. As she turned to face the waiting crowd, Thor fell into step beside her, his gaze never leaving the little creature in her arms. The mother who'd been clutching her son stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up on him." Daniels nodded, her throat too tight to answer. She felt Thor press gently against her leg, a silent reassurance that this was exactly where they were meant to be. A few feet away, the bomb squad technician removed his helmet and gave a tired, relieved smile. "Not the call I expected today," he admitted, wiping at his eyes. "But maybe the one we needed." Thor leaned in and nuzzled the puppy again, as if promising he would protect him from here on out. The puppy let out a tiny sigh and closed his eyes, finally surrendering to sleep. Daniels walked toward the rescue van, her boots echoing across the platform. As she lifted the puppy inside, applause broke out behind her, tentative at first, then swelling into something that made her eyes sting. When she turned to look back, she realized everyone was smiling, even the people who'd been afraid just moments before. Sometimes, she thought as she stroked the puppy's ears, a single act of kindness was enough to change everything.